Go ahead and get started. Okay, why are some of the same signs different colors, yellow and red? Well, it's the system we have here in the United States. We have a color-coded system, and they're universal, whether you're in Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin, Chicago, Virginia, Vermont. We have yellow, which is warning. It's warning us of a hazardous condition, sharp curve ahead, warning slippery, bridge. The red is a regulatory. Stop signs are regulatory signs. So because I teach driver's education, it always surprises me how long it takes beginner drivers to really understand that you have to stop. I think people take stop signs for granted. I'm just giving you some examples. I think a lot of you get panicky at intersections because you see a stop sign, but if you're not used to looking at the sign, understand you have to stop for a moment, 3 seconds, and then look and check. I think a lot of beginners get in trouble. Yield signs also. A lot of beginners kind of roll through yield signs. If a car is coming in opposite direction, crossing your face, you have to yield and slow down. So a lot of beginners blow through yield signs, blow through stop signs. So my job as your instructor is to teach you, hey, this color, this sign means stop. This color, this sign means a guide sign. Brown and white are recreation. Okay, so once you understand the color code system, you should be fine, but a lot of beginners struggle because you haven't been on the road. You've only been in your neighborhood. All of us have a street sign. It's either green and white or black and white, or it could be a custom color in your neighborhood. That's a guide sign. Most of you know your address. So you need to learn signs in order to travel anywhere in the United States. Going to Canada or Mexico, their signs are different. So I thought that was a good question. Let's keep going. How many interstates? 94, 696, 275, 69. Just the major interstates. Every state has different numbering system and different interstates. Like I-75 goes to the top of Michigan all the way down to Florida. So once you learn to navigate out of the state that you live in, then you're going to most of you will be looking at your phones, right? You don't look at maps anymore. You don't even know what a map is. I teach social studies. So maps are very important, but you're going to be looking at your phone. You're not going to understand the route that you're on. You're just going to be a little dot. And that's real where we are in 2025, because you don't really understand signs. You just pull out your phone, Google Maps, Apple CarPlay, and that's fine. But what if your phone dies? What if you don't get a signal? Now you're going to be lost. So I see the last 12 months, 16 months, a lot of students don't know their homes, and you have to open your phone up, because I've had students drive themselves home or drive themselves to work. You don't know your signs. You don't know your directions. It's sad, but you've got to learn your cardinal directions. So you really should be driving without your phone and directions to recognize landmarks. Are there specific places or criteria they put a no right turn on red? I like the sign. It's at intersections, because, no pun intended, it's an intersection and there are cars going left and right and north and south, east and west, north and south. So whenever you have cars going in different directions, you have to have signage there, a stop sign, a yield sign, no right turn on red. That's a very pure question, because if you don't have signs, it's an open intersection and someone's going to crash. So someone has got to stop and let traffic go by, or someone has to yield. And then if there's no traffic, you still should yield and look. So the signs are there to have order of operation. And when you don't follow order of operation, you get a ticket, a rolling stop, do not yield, improper lane change. And I think a lot of drivers, whether they're teen or 20s or 30s or 40s, if you don't understand the signs, you're going to end up going the wrong way, getting hit, or hitting someone or going the wrong way on a one-way street. So I can put it to you in terms you can understand. If you don't understand you're on a one-way street, traffic is going the same direction. All the signs are facing you. You're on a one-way street. A lot of beginner drivers don't know they're on a one-way street, or a driver who's lost. So I understand, and it's very pure. When did you got cut off? When they create? I don't know. I wasn't born yet. I'm younger than you think. 50s or 60s, 40s. As the federal government grew, they started creating the interstate system across the United States. It depends on the state. But in order to travel across the United States, you need to take an interstate. Get it? Okay? So you got to go across your country. You got to know north is up, south is down, west is to the left, east is to the right. So if you don't know that, you're going to end up being lost. All states have different interstate numbers because the states are shaped different. Texas is shaped different than Ohio. Florida is shaped different than Texas. California is shaped different than Michigan. Vermont is shaped different. So every state is different and every route is different. Some have curve routes. So, and then the roads build out from the downtown area and then they go out to the suburban areas. Remember, all cities started small and then the population started growing and then they started moving to the suburb areas. If you look at most states in a highway system, it starts from the downtown area. I don't know if you guys get in that deep to roads, you probably don't, but once you start driving, if you go to Texas or California or Nevada or New Mexico, you're going to have to really learn that. What should you do if you come across a sign you don't recognize? I would take a picture, pull over, and Google it immediately. Okay? If you don't recognize the sign, take a picture, pull over to the side. What does the sign mean? And there's each city and state and municipality can make a custom sign. That's a good question. If you're not sure, take a picture. And that's the beautiful thing about AI and all these Google things and Google Lens. You can take a picture and your phone can recognize it and give you information. Good question. What should I do if you come across, okay, we already answered that. How do AAA signs help drivers travel? AAA is a national organization. They're across the country. They put on drivers training seminars for teen drivers, adult drivers, older drivers. They find trending information and then they put together public campaigns. For instance, if I went to AAA, we could type in the type of car you want to buy. It would tell you how much it costs per week, how much does it cost per year, insurance. So AAA does a lot through education and research. You may not know about AAA. You probably don't because you're under 21, but your parents may give you a AAA towing membership if your car breaks down, right? Or some of your parents may have AAA insurance, but that's a whole new world that I think definitely needs to be discussed. And you can research that on your own, but this is the foundation for traffic safety. You can also get good driving discounts. Most of you seen Jake from State Farm. If you've seen Jake from State Farm, type in yes, Jake from State Farm. If you've seen or know Jake from State Farm, just type in yes. That will tell me what you know. Okay? So if you've seen Jake from State Farm, type in yes. I'm just going to go to the bottom of the chat. Yes, all of you have. Jake from State Farm is the spokesman for State Farm, bringing awareness. And when you guys go to get insurance, you're like, I don't know anything about insurance. And then you're going to remember Jake, State Farm. And then you're going to go online. And then you're going to put in information on your car, your make and model. And then there you go. So AAA does advertise, but not to the degree that State Farm does. So, and there's Farm Bureau insurance, different companies, they all give insurance, but you have to do your research. Some are cheap, some are very expensive, some give great coverage, some give minimal coverage. That's a conversation your mom and dad and you will have when you're about 24 or 25. But I like the questions because you're learning about insurance and AAA. But you normally wouldn't be asking questions about AAA because it's not in your teenage realm. But once you start driving and looking it up insurance, you're like, let me check every single insurance company. And some are very expensive, some are very cheap. Cheap coverage doesn't mean good. Expensive coverage doesn't mean good. You want to find coverage that gives you the most value for the money. What should you do if you, okay, we already read that. Emergency vehicles, our emergency vehicles have HOV lanes. Emergency vehicles can go to any open lane that's available to get the patient to the hospital. If it's an HOV lane and they're an emergency vehicle, they have the right to circumvent traffic. Okay, we already talked about that. Broken lines mean you can cross. Solid yellow lines mean you can't. That's through the United States. So if you see solid lines, you can't pass those lines. Well, what if I'm in an accident? What if a car's coming the wrong way? Of course. But if you remember that, that'll help you navigate on the roads. But until you really get out there and drive, you don't really understand pavement markings yet, but you need to because you could be going the wrong way. Okay, so a lot of young drivers have bad accidents because they can't read the signs, and a lot of older drivers, 70, 80, 90, and we don't want to shame someone for driving because they're older or younger. You have to know the signs. And this is why it's here. Is it legal to cross the white line? The white line, you could possibly get a ticket. It could be an improper lane change. Could. It depends on the officer. It depends on the jurisdiction. It depends on how hard they are enforcing the laws. I would not cross a white line unless it's broken. If you remember that, you'll always be okay. But if you want to gamble and get a ticket, so my advice to all of you, let's follow the rules and you'll have a really good driving record. And then you could go to AAA, State Farm, Mutual Omaha, Farm Bureau, and say, hey, I have a really good driving record. What is the lowest amount of insurance you can give me? And they'll compete because they want your business. So that's what I would say to you. But if you cross a white line and you have an accident, it's your fault. Hey, they crossed a white line. I did, and you hit me. At-fault accident. So what are the main road signs? You need to know all of them. You need to know all the signs. You need to know, am I on the east side? Am I on the west side? Am I north? Am I southeast? Am I downtown? Am I uptown? Am I in southwest? You need to know signs so you don't get lost. Most people don't drive in straight lines. You're going to go into a suburban area. You're going to go to downtown. You might go to a rural area out at 50-mile road, 40-mile road, okay? You might go on a private road. So you need to know signs to help you navigate where you are. And remember, if your phone dies, you won't know where you are. So I always go back to, and I realize I'm talking to teens, this is 2025, not hating. I'm just simply telling you, if you didn't have your phone, most of you would probably be lost because, again, cardinal directions. You should know how to get to your house, to your high school. You should know how to get to your high school, to maybe your grandmother's house. You should know how to get to your grandmother's house, to the mall. Most of you know how to do that because that's where you hang out. Is there a warning sign that are usually curve ahead, slippery when wet? You'll see a car with the squiggly lines. Bridge freezes when it's cold. What speed should you do in construction zone? That's 45 or less. Always do that. Why can't cars with a certain amount of people drive in the HOV lane? Because, Aaron, they want to encourage carpooling. They want more than one person in the car. We have this in our state. They have it in California. They have it in a lot of states. They want to encourage people to ride together to cut down on pollution. And in some cases, if you ride in the HOV lane when you're not supposed to, it's a ticket. So that's a really good question. Are you supposed to fully stop at yield signs? If a car's coming, Caleb, yes, because if you don't stop at a yield sign and go through, you'll hit them. And I'm saying that in a very loving, kind, and intelligent way. If you have a yield sign and a car is crossing your face, you almost have to stop. If you keep going, you're going to hit them. So I think that's a simple way to tell you, yes. So all of you heard from Jake from State Farm. That was good. Give me 1 second. I thought the questions were pretty good. We have a lot of young people that don't know a lot about signs. And signs are the guidelines to flow in the community. I thought this was helpful just to give you some insight. I need all of you to watch these videos, learn, ask questions, and we'll go on later. Bye.